If you're wondering, no, this commentary isn't related to the Dark Carnival storyline. Actually, no one's wondering that. So if you're seeing the latest commentaries I've made, first of all, I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, and second, you might remember that I covered the Thetristanfrantz alongside fellow commentator Turn of the TV. Long story short, Tristan's video was a top 10 worst hit songs of 2022 list, which might actually be the worst video that I have ever covered. Unlike me and Rivers co-op to give you guys the full detail of why I think that's the case, but TLDR, the video was needlessly condescending to not only the artist he was reviewing, but also to the audience watching his videos, and legit makes some of the dumbest points that I've ever fucking heard. Well, as it turns out, that is pretty much a staple of his entire channel. The dude's pretty much a politics-obsessed pseudo-review channel, and trust me, his air of self-importance isn't just restricted to just the top 10 me and River covered. I mean, who could call you pretentious when you legit have a video called McDonald's Workers Unite, which gained the massive attention of the 67 McDonald's employees in the universe. Now with that being said, I'm not covering any of his videos. Instead, I'll be covering a community post of his where he, well...
Wow, so my fucking Instagram was just now suspended. Truth be told, I don't care for getting the account back. But I find it funny that my account was suspended just days after I made the meme below. So I probably got witch hunted by a bunch of popheads. Knowing the kind of fan base that Instagram seems to attract, the company itself likely defends pop music, and were probably offended when they saw this, seeing as how the loss of Tina Turner is still a flesh wound. 10 years ago, after Whitney Houston died, a meme was made comparing the accomplishments of the 80s pop star to that of black metal band Bathory, particularly that of the frontman, Quothin. It stands as an example of how pop music is held on a corporate pedestal, while metal, despite all the hard work that bands go through, are largely ignored. 10 years later, children of Bodom frontman Alexi Laiho and 80s pop star Tina Turner have left the moral plane, and history has repeated itself.
Yep, this is a post regarding the recent death of Tina Turner, and said post he's referring to is an image where he compares how the media reacted to the deaths of both her and the lead guitarist and vocalist of Children of Bodom, Alexi Laiho, and yeah, I have some issues. Though keep this in mind for my final thoughts, because I have words. A lot of them, actually. But enough of that, let's actually read what's on the image, and for those listening in the background, allow the king of the CC to speak wisdom into your ear holes.
Alexi Laiho released 16 albums over 25 years. Tina Turner released 10 albums over 25 years.
Okay then. I'm laying on the part where this should fucking matter. Like, all this would really show is that Alexi had more of an output than Tina did. And I know you also say that pop music is put on a high pedestal to the point where bands that put in a lot of work are ignored, but it really shouldn't matter when it comes to album counts. By that logic, Viper puts out a record every fucking minute. Does that mean he puts a lot of hard work into his music? I think not. Mind you, I'm not saying that Alexi didn't put a lot of effort into the bands and projects that he was a part of. However, my point is that album count over a specific amount of time doesn't really mean anything. And that's not even going into how faulty your methods are at actually showing this. First of all, why is there a need to put it within 25 years specifically? Because not only has Tina's music career been way longer than just 25 years, 51 to be exact, but it just exemplifies the fact that this point is cherry-picked as all hell, especially considering the fact that, second, you're clearly only going off for solo records. I don't know if you know about this, but Tina actually started in music a lot earlier than 1974. She was originally in a duo with her then husband Ike Turner, and in between 1961 and 1977, which the gap is only 16, so it technically counts against your claim, they released a total of 22 albums together. And if we were to count the Tina solo albums that were also released in that time frame, those being Tina Turns the Country On and Acid Queen, there would technically be 24, which is a lot more than 16, don't you think? Again, I'm not trying to devalue the importance that Alexi had in the realms of metal, but what I am saying is that you probably shouldn't cherry pick just to contribute to your blatantly false narrative.
Alexi Laiho wrote every song he recorded. Tina Turner wrote none of the songs she performed.
Yes, because as we all know, it was Alexi Laiho that wrote Party all the time. Now you might try and counter that with, but it's a cover though, but then I'd be like, so, it's still not a song originally written by Alexi, and that's before we get into the other covers that Children of Bodom have done, like Silent Scream, Don't Stop at the Top, Mass Hypnosis, No Commands, Aces High, Shot in the Dark, Hellion, Somebody Put Something in My Drink, which is supposed to be LSD, not what you think it is, you sick fucks. Talk Dirty to Me, that's Poison, not my friend. Rebel Yell, and Oops I Did It Again. Yeah, metal covers can get crazy. And even if you want to dismiss all of these, I went and checked the writing credits of the Children of Bodom albums, and while it is true that Alexi had a hand in writing a lot of the band's songs, even entire albums by himself in the case of Follow the Reaper and Relentless Reckless Forever, if you don't count the cover of Party All the Time, you're not entirely accurate when you say that Alexi wrote every single line that he ever sang, because Kimberly Goss of the band Synergy wrote the songs Silent Night, Bonum Night, and Bastards of Bonum without any involvement writing lines from Alexi. Granted, these are only a few songs that likely aren't the band's most well known, but they still exist, and you ignoring them just makes your bias that much more apparent. And while yes, Tina was much more of a performer than she was a songwriter during her solo career, you're actually dead wrong. During the Ike and Turner era, the first song to have writing credits from Tina was I'm a Motherless Child from Out of Season, which definitely has an album cover, that's for sure. There will continue to be a couple more songs with Tina credited as a writer, such as Bold Soul Sister, What You Don't See Is Better Yet, and Pick Me Up, Take Me Where Your Home Is. Then Feel Good comes out and has the album filled with songs written by Tina herself, and from then on, she would go on to have a lot more writing credits on albums like Let Me Touch Your Mind, Nutbush City Limits, and Sweet Rhode Island Red. Just goes to show how far research could take you if you actually decide to use your brain.
Alexi Laiho was a vocalist, guitarist, bassist, and keyboardist and played with 12 different bands. Tina Turner did not play any instrument.
It's almost as if Tina is in a genre that isn't generally known for having members that are in multiple bands or something. And it's not like this even matters in the long run, considering that being in multiple bands isn't an automatic sign of quality. Being a multi-instrumentalist, I guess, but like, this feels like an arbitrary way of dismissing her talents because yes, she does have them despite what you want to believe. You're acting like she's the DJ Khaled of rock and roll, but we'll get to that point later because I do actually have a point surrounding this delusion.
Alexi Laiho overcame alcohol addiction. Why is that a feat? Like, it's great and all, but like, why is that there? Tina Turner left her cocaine-addicted husband for dead.
Well, that escalated quickly. Like, we talk about the instruments they play, and suddenly we're thrown headfirst into talking about addiction. Dude, learn how to tone. Also, how are these comparable? One is overcoming an addiction, while the other is leaving Ike Turner, someone with an addiction, which isn't the same fucking thing. Tina isn't the one with the addiction, forehead. And what's ironic about this whole entire thing is that this completely misses everything that happened when it came to Ike and Tina's relationship, considering that Ike's addiction caused them to become abusive, even getting into a bloody altercation on the way back from a hotel in 1976. Funny that in the video me and River covered, you shame people for daring to let Chris Brown have another hit because he's a woman beater, but when Tina decides to leave her abusive, crack-addicted husband, suddenly the world's being cruel to Ike, like, no, you gotta give him another chance, man. Nice to know where your priorities are.
Alexi Laiho innovated metal in a profound way. Tina Turner innovated absolutely nothing.
What has Alexi innovated in a profound way? I'm not even questioning if he's innovative because I'm sure he is, but you can't just say he did so and expect people to believe it. In a profound way is so fucking vague to where the statement could literally mean anything ever. I could say Broken Sight innovated music as a whole in a profound way, but if I don't explain why, my point would sound pretty stupid, wouldn't it?
Alexi Laiho, known for having one of the most unique and recognizable sounds in all of metal. Tina Turner, known for the amount of records she sold, which hardly anyone still listens to.
How do you know this? How do you know that hardly anyone listens to Tina nowadays? Sure, you might not hear her songs necessarily when you're out and about in the world, but that doesn't mean that fans of hers still don't exist. Hell, the multiple articles being read about her passing is enough to show that she's still had fans as of 2023. Hell, why do you think that Fat Joe, Ashanti, and Ja Rule interpolated her song What's Love Got to Do With It on the song What's Love? Could it have possibly been because of how recognizable that song is?
What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it?
And while this comp was in the scripting phase, River actually brought up how Kygo released an EDM version of the song in 2020, which was even a year-end hit on the EDM charts, so it's very clear that Tina still has an audience. Also, are we just gonna completely ignore what her actual talents are just so you could say she's only known for selling records? She's primarily known for her impressive as hell singing, and that can be her throughout her music. Yeah, this goes back to earlier, but you seem to forget that Tina is primarily known for her singing ability. The reason she didn't write a whole lot of music at first was not only because Ike was more of the songwriter between the two, but also because she was a better performer than a songwriter. And even then, the only thing songwriting would realistically do is make Tina's emotion a little bit more genuine, but that would ultimately go back to the question of, why can't the performance itself be considered genuine? It doesn't have to come from the lyrics, you know.
Alexi Laiho, dead at 41, not a peep from the press. Tina Turner, dead at 83. Front page headlines!
My man's really out here playing Death Olympics and shit. Like, seriously, can we not do this? I understand the sentiment from where you're coming from, but it's not exactly fair to compare these two deaths, especially when you realize that, well, you have to think about reach. Tina was known for making rock, R&B, and pop music, which are often more mainstream than Children of Bodom's melodic death metal, which even then has a community that doesn't exactly like being mainstream. While I think that's honestly really petty, it really shouldn't be a surprise that Alexi's death didn't get that much attention from the mainstream press, due to the fact that the mainstream would have likely never heard of Alexi. A lot of people would have definitely heard about Tina given her music is a lot more commercial. This isn't favoritism, it's appealing to the masses.
I'm just saying!
What you're saying is retarded as fuck, so why should I care? And now, it's time for final thoughts, and I'm gonna let you guys know that I'm not gonna be nice with these final thoughts, especially given the holier-than-thou attitude that, Tristan seems to have, and the fact that he seems to brush off criticism of his work to continue pushing bullshit narratives about stuff that he knows very little about. So, I'm gonna just be real with you, Tristan. Your content is worthless. When they aren't misguided as hell, they're dishonest, dismissive, or just flat out anger-inducing. The fact that you even name yourself the best underground ranter on YouTube just shows how far up your ass you are to actually fix the issues in your logic. Never before have I seen someone say the most out-of-pocket shit ever and act like it's only the big bad corporations that are out to get you, and yeah, don't think I forgot to bring that back up. You assume that your post got taken down because of pop heads when you do realize what this post was, right? It was a tasteless, no nuanced dick measuring contest with someone who had recently fucking passed away. And sure, you mentioned how Tina is a fresh wound, implying some level of, oh, look at me with my disrespectful onion and shit, but you still ultimately blamed it on a non-existent problem, and considering that you got plenty of things wrong, that just shows that you went into all of this blind as a motherfucker. And you wanna know the funny thing, Tristan? I myself barely knew anything about Tina prior to this post, but the difference between you and I is that I went out and did research and made sure what I was saying was actually correct. You not only failed at doing that, but your narrative pushing seems to be going nowhere. I say this with no sarcasm, no jokes, no anything. Go fuck yourself. One could argue saying that Tristan is a troll, which I guess is a possibility, sure, but considering the fact that he seems to act like this even outside of his videos, it's more than likely he's just someone who's really stupid rather than someone being stupid on purpose to get a rise out of people. But even if he's a troll, still, he can go fuck himself. But begrudging as this is, if you want to continue doing music-related shit, I guess I can't stop you, but if you want them to have any sort of worth, how about actually doing research instead of just going in and half-assing everything or bringing up politics where they don't belong? I get that may not be the most possible thing right now, seeing as how you have seemingly injected politics into your bloodstream, but at least try to keep it out of shit that has nothing to do with anything. This more applies to the previous video I covered from you rather than this one, but still, it'll make your videos much more watchable, if only by a little. Anyways, now that I'm done, I'm gonna go commit not living anymore. If I don't see at least 500 mainstream articles about this, I'm gonna be severely disappointed.
Alright, I have no idea what Tristan sounds like, so you're gonna get some very creative stuff. Alright, yeah, right, there's a Creed more. So I probably got winch hunted by a I'm gonna be honest, I read pop heads as poopy heads. That made the tweet infinitely funnier. Seeing as how the loss of Tina Turner is still a flesh wound, gee, I couldn't possibly wonder why. 10 years ago, after Whitney Houston died, a meme was made comparing the accomplishments of the 80s pop star to that of black metal band Bathory. Oh my god. Are these even... I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a music guy, so these names mean nothing to me. I don't even know if these are real names. I feel like this is a bit. I feel like this is a really elaborate bit. Well, metal... Okay, don't get me wrong, I love rock and metal just as much as the next guy, but also, Jesus Christ, could you, people like different things, my guy. Alexi Laiho released 16 albums over 25 years.